about what you think about today.
This is an incredible story because, you know, when you talk about energy, most people say, what are you going to do with coal? We got a lot of it. We got some oil, and now we're finding more natural gas. But, you know, the real answer is we have to look at all options, and it includes solar. God blesses us with the sunshine, and to use it to generate electricity and jobs is really the right investment. A lot of people were critical of the president because of his stimulus program, but, you know, you come down here to Quoin and take a look at this solar park, the first in Southern Illinois, and it was a major investment by the federal government to get it started. The state pitched in, the locals pitched in, and now, today, Mr. Bozarth comes here and says there'll be more jobs down here. I don't think that's the end of the story. I think it's a beginning.
There was a lot of criticism on the president over the Keystone pipeline and saying that cost jobs in the energy industry. What's your thoughts on?
Well, I've talked to the president personally about this. He's not opposed to the Keystone pipeline. He wants to go through the regular process. You know, the state of Nebraska just a couple of months ago changed to where they wanted to put the pipeline. They said it's too close to an aquifer. That's their right to do. So we're going to take a look at that alignment and we're going to build it. Now, here's the news most people don't know. That's the second Keystone pipeline. The first Keystone pipeline was built from Canada and goes to Illinois, Wood River, Illinois, to the Conoco refinery. It was built and completed with the president's approval, and I'm sure this one will be too. So, you know, that's one of the options. Bring in those tar sands, refine them into gasoline, bring down some prices, but don't give up on other options. We've got to keep an open mind about geothermal and wind turbines, which you'll find in the central part of the state. Solar, this is Southern Illinois. It could be a great source of solar energy, as we can prove right here in Quoin. So keeping those options open, expanding those possibilities, that's what really liberates us from any dependence on foreign countries.
I know you're going to be making a stop in Harrisburg later on this afternoon. I just kind of wanted you to give us an update on what you and Governor Quinn have been working on to help out the people of Harrisburg.
We're trying to find every available option to help. And the bottom line is something I learned the hard way. If that same damage would have occurred in Indiana, Kentucky, or Missouri, most likely they would have been declared a federal disaster area. You say, well, why pick on Illinois? Well, the law is written that you take a look at the population of the state. And because we have a large population, there's I guess the law assumes, well, the state can take care of it. Our state's broke. So I'm rewriting the law, the federal disaster law, to take that into consideration so that we can at least have some sort of objective look at it in terms of the state, what the finances are, and whether a large state can take care of a disaster. In the meantime, the good news is folks in Southern Illinois are waiting. They're pitching in. They're helping one another. We're going to be there today. It is an interesting thing. The folks in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania have sent some things over to help out the folks in Harrisburg, Illinois. And the trucks will be coming in, and they said they're going to finally put a senator to work. They're going to have me unload the truck if I'm there at the right time.
Good. It's good to see you getting your hands on it.
That's right.
In a good way.
Honest day's work. All right.
Thanks, Senator. Appreciate it.
Another thing, a lot of people are waiting for this decision from the Supreme Court on the health care bill. What's your anticipation on that? And if it is in fact overturned, as the president said, would it be an unprecedented thing to occur?
Well, I think it would be, because I think the court has consistently used the Commerce Clause to affect major parts of the economy, and there's no larger part of our economy than healthcare. It's one of the biggest industries in our country, and I think it clearly is interstate in terms of the prescription drugs we order and the people who supply healthcare. So I think it fits squarely in the Commerce Clause, and I think the president was making that point. But it's up to the Supreme Court. I mean, they are an independent part of our government. They have that power to decide constitutionality. But the bottom line issue is one people ought to understand. It's an issue of personal responsibility. If somebody says, I don't care if I can afford it or not, I'm not buying health insurance, unfortunately, sometimes they get sick. And when they get sick, they show up at the hospital. The law requires them to be treated. And their bills, when they can't pay them, and 2 out of 3 people uninsured can't pay their bills, are passed on to other people. We have to pay for it in our health insurance premiums. That's not fair. So there ought to be personal responsibility to have health insurance, a helping hand for lower income people to pay for their health insurance premiums. But ultimately, that's the only way we can have full coverage across the United States and be able to say to insurance companies, now, don't discriminate against people because of pre-existing conditions, because everybody's now insured.